Violent crime is ravaging major American cities, as a dozen of them, all with Democrats at the helm, are now reporting record-breaking homicide rates. But don't worry, it's not a crisis, according to some leaders of those very same Democrat-led cities.
We don't have a crisis of lawlessness. We don't have a crisis of crime. We don't have a crisis of violence.
We're actually seeing a lot of these allegations of organized retail theft are not actually panning out. Like these, I believe it's a Walgreens in California cited it, but the data didn't back it up.
I know you hear a lot of misinformation concerning this particular wave of crime. Number one, actually, most crime is down, but for homicides.
Well, it's good to know that Barnum and Bailey might, come back and be looking for people who can vanish things, because they're trying hard. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, joined by my co-hosts Emily Campagno and Kayleigh McEnany, Fox Nation host Tomi Lahren, and in the center virtual seat, entrepreneur and author of Woke Inc., Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek, I'm going to start with you just real quickly and get your top line thought there.
Look, I think it's actually a remarkable point that the FBI has actually stayed back from actually getting involved in these cases of violence across the country, while they go after parents for showing up as engaged parents at school board meetings just a number of months ago. And I know this isn't directly related to the local issues we're seeing across the country, but it speaks to the role of what the FBI stands for today at all. And I think their absence in this matter, I think actually speaks volumes. I personally think for all of the discussions we've had about defunding the police at the local level, the conversation that we haven't had is about defunding the FBI at the federal level. And I want to see the next conservative president in the White House actually not talk about incremental reform, but actually talk about shutting down that institution because of what a failure it represents. And the local problems that we're seeing across our nation's cities are really just the symptom of a deeper cancer relating to actually the role of the FBI and failing to step up to actually address real threats to security within our nation.
Vivek gets us started with heat. So while local Democrats seem to be in denial, the White House claims it's taking the crime wave seriously. Here's Press Secretary Jen Psaki.
We've seen some of these extremely disturbing videos showing retail thefts, and both major retailers as well as state and local leaders like Governor Newsom have identified this as a serious concern. That's the reason why we have sent additional support from the FBI, providing additional assistance. We have also provided money to get provided financial assistance to get money to hire 50 more police officers through the COPS program that the president has championed in places like San Francisco, and an additional 20 officers in Los Angeles.
Well, the problem with that is that it's all news to the National Sheriff's Association, which says California officials tell us there have been zero federal resources, and even the FBI says they haven't done anything more. Well, that makes Vivek's point. And Chicago is working this with the state alone. Zero new federal help. Those dollars are droplets in a boiling ocean. 50 officers in Los Angeles, 20 in San Francisco. Net, that is less than 1/10 of the 1% of their respective manpower needs. Wow. Tomi Lahren.
Yeah, when we're talking about this and we're talking about giving more money is not going to solve the problem. Yes, defunding police departments, as cities and localities have done, is a serious problem, but this is more of a culture problem. We've created a culture of lawlessness in this country, and the policies back that up. You mentioned California, Prop 4757, zero cash bail, like you guys also have in New York. Those are big problems. Those are policy problems. The people need to stand up and get rid of those, and the politicians that advocate for them. But beyond that, when we talk about working with police officers, you can't sit there and demonize them on a daily basis, and especially for an entire summer riot season, demonize police officers and then say, oh, well, don't worry, we're going to hire 50 more officers here and there. It doesn't do much good if the policies don't allow them to do their jobs effectively and at their full capacity, and it doesn't do a lot of good to just say you're going to hire police officers when police officers are retiring and they don't want to do the job because of those policies and because of the constant demonization of that that profession, but not only politicians, but by most of the mainstream media. This is a much bigger problem. This is a culture of lawlessness, and a little bit of money here and there, federally or locally, isn't going to solve this problem. It needs to be a top-down approach, and they need to get in there and get their hands dirty and get some work done on this issue, because it's not going anywhere.
You know, that point about lawlessness, it certainly feels that way, Kaylee. No matter where you are in this country, you're aware that things are different.
Oh, it's very clear. Just take a stroll around New York City and you can see it.
Well, in the Midwest, too.
In the Midwest,
Northwest, South.
Everywhere, it feels like, and certainly in liberal cities. But, you know, Jen Psaki needs to get a thicker tab in her brown folder on the issue of crime, because it is just simply not working. There was no answer there. Perhaps that's why the Department of Justice came out today, because she didn't have an answer yesterday and said, we're going to give $17.9 million to Project Safe Neighborhoods. But that's a program that's been around since 2001. I'm not sure just throwing money at an issue is going to work. What does work is taking it seriously, like Bill Barr did, like Donald Trump did.
So, yeah, I want to ask you about that, because, you know, the law and order president, and he and I sat down and talked about this at the time, you know, in June, right after George Floyd had died, was killed. And, you know, his whole point was, I'm offering help to cities. And that's when the rioting was out of control and the looting and everything. But some places don't want to take it, and those places are Democrat-led cities. And was it politics then? I don't know, because look at it now. It was policy. This is what they had in mind.
You have hit the key point, because at the top of this, we heard all those Democrat mayors who are denying the problem. Contrast that to Kansas City mayor. You know Kansas City. So Quentin Lucas came out after
I've interviewed him recently.
Yeah, Legend Taliaferro, after he was killed, and said he sent a letter and said, we need a special legislative session. He sent a letter to DOJ. I need help. Good for him. And the DOJ came and they helped and they caught the killer of Legend Taliaferro and many others. That's what a partnership on behalf of your people looks like, what Quentin Lucas did with the Trump administration.
I have to ask you about these districts of attorney, like Gascon in LA and Krasner in Philadelphia. You know, why do
in San Francisco.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why do they not see what people are experiencing? Forget about what we report on. Maybe they don't watch any television, but in their own constituencies, why don't they see it?
That's exactly what everyone who lives under their thumb is asking. That's why when asked about it, Gascon responded hideously when asked about, well, the crimes have spiked under your watch. What do you have to say to the Sheriff's Association, who is calling for help from you to help prosecute these guys? He goes, quote, well, my father told me never to wrestle with a pig. Those are the kinds of messages, to Tomi's point, that these people are undergoing in their cities, which is a lack of support for law enforcement by the people who are supposed to be supporting them, namely the district attorneys. That almost $18 million you spoke about, that's in addition to the $139 million that was appropriated to these agencies in the last bill from the federal government. So to everyone's points here, just to echo, we're being tasked with throwing our tax dollars through everything on the federal level. We're having, depending on the administration, local cities that are either crying out for federal help or refusing the funding and calling arms of the federal government, quote, stormtroopers, as they did in Portland when President Trump tried to put federal agents on the streets. And then we're having a lack of support for law enforcement in these cities with an infighting, which is why the residents are calling to recall the district attorneys. That's in addition to, for example, the vitriol you read earlier, and the point that the president of the Sheriff's Association was making, which is, well, it doesn't matter how much money we're throwing at it because it's still not enough. It's too little, too late. And when you have the chain irrevocably broken at all of these different links, then no amount of money is going to restore the lives that are lost and the residents that are living in fear.
I don't know how long this will be sustainable. I mean, the criminals are running the show now. I don't know. I don't think that's sustainable.
I don't think it was sustainable a long time ago.
Right.
You know, I think we broke that point a long time ago, and it's frightening for us to.
So I know
see
that's what
there's
we
no
need to do.
end.
We need to buy books for the DAs so they can read about history.
Oof.
Oh, all right, we'll move on.